Cancel.
Squeezy.
Okay, first one we got is from Whiskey Riff. I had to admit the guy who runs it, and I'm sorry I forgot your name. And shit like that. Sorry about that. Waylon Jennings once said there were more ugly women at Conway Twitty shows than anything he'd ever seen. Ooh.
This is the type of guy you get.
Okay, so... Of all the absolutely fantastic stories I've heard about Waylon Jennings over the years, this is easily one of my favorites. And I certainly don't think it's any secret that he was never afraid to say exactly what was on his mind. And if this isn't proof, I don't know what else could be. Born on June 15, 1937 in Littlefield, Texas, Waylon dropped out of high school at age 16, determined to be a full-time musician. In 1958, Buddy Holly arranged Waylon's first recording session and hired him to play bass. In 1959, while on tour with Buddy and his band, Waylon famously gave up his seat on the plane that crashed and ultimately killed Buddy, J.P. the Big Bopper Richardson, and Richie Valens. He eventually became a pioneer in the country outlaw movement of the 1970s, but admitted plenty of times that was more of a marketing strategy than anything else, and once said that the most outlaw thing Willie ever did was that he probably came to town and double parked on Music Row. He was chock full of great stories and authentic commentary and totally changed the game because of it. And in a great 1988 interview with Spin, Waylon talked about the time that a promoter booked him for a show with Conway Twitty, though his name wasn't out there in all the advertising ahead of time due to confusion with the different shows up north they were appearing at with Dottie West. Well, now my mind is going 100 miles an hour. You know, Dane Bramage has set in probably the best story I got. Maybe not the best one, but it's true. We were booked one time up north here, this guy that booked us, and this was about 15 years ago. He sent me to Syracuse where Dottie was supposed to be, and he sent her to Rhode Island where I was supposed to be. When Waylon got to Syracuse for one of the shows, he took a very unpolitical correct approach, saying that he'd never seen so many ugly women in one room in his life. And of course, it was all in jest, but it being Waylon, he couldn't let Conway, who was known for driving the women wild, get off without some friendly shit-talking. Well, we got up there in Syracuse, and I was there with Conway Twitty, and I have never seen that many ugly women congregating in all my life, and I told him so. I said, boy, you do draw an ugly class of women. Conway reminded him that it was both of their shows, to which perfectly replied with this. And he said, well, you were booked on this show too. And I said, yeah, but I wasn't advertised. I mean, who could put it quite like that and get it away with it? Hilarious. What a legend. Waylon was certainly one of a kind, and I don't think something like that would pass in an interview today. Moreover, not only do I think that wouldn't pass, I can't think of many artists today who would even say something like that in the first place. And maybe that's a good thing, I don't know, but I do miss when country music had characters like him. He wasn't kidding around when he wrote this one. I've always been crazy. Okay, so... You know the balls to say this during an interview? Like, I'm going to tell you this right now. When you say, people wouldn't say things like that today. They wouldn't say things like that today, ... in a recorded interview. Now, on your own, when you just shit talk with friends and shit like that, oh yeah, you hear the story, you're like, oh, I've never seen so many fucking ugly women in my life, you know? If we want to talk about Ghost Town Remedy for a second, they're a shit band, but they're my friends. I've been to their shows, and there is usually 2 women there, and they are friends / partners of the band. So, and one of them is a friend of the band, I guess, at this point. And yeah, there's not a lot of women there. It's the one of the few shows I've gone to. I've been to a couple of their shows, and it's one of the few that you can talk about the Avatar: The Last Airbender lore with people, and they are interested. And I don't know who's to blame on that one, because I was the one talking about the Avatar: The Last Airbender lore, so, like, I don't even know. I mean, I was in the right spot. It was also like going to see the Marvels in theaters when it wasn't promoted very well, and a lot of other things. When there were 5 guys in the theater and they all kind of had the same vibe as me, you know, it was like Brie Larson has a type, and it's me. And, and like, you know, yeah, you play these shows, I do freelancing and play with other groups and stuff like that. And I gotta tell you, like sometimes you're in the band and like you're like, okay, like, because my main rule with playing shows is like I'm only gonna play music that women actually listen to, which is very broad too. And so like you should be okay with that exception and be like, yeah, I can find something. I can find something I can do. But yeah, no. But like honestly though, we've all played shows for a bunch of cows. Like, like I played at a thing with a wet t-shirt contest once. I'm telling you. And how many of those girls were good looking? 2. I'm telling you the truth. There were only 2. I'm just saying that, like, I'm not gonna like point out these women. It was kind of weird to say that about, and also like you shouldn't say that. Talk shit about your own audience. That's a general rule for being an entertainer. You shouldn't talk shit about your own audience for the most part. It's like they're the ones coming to your show and paying to see you. Like you shouldn't be talking shit about them. You should be like that. But he did have a good excuse there. 1, he wasn't advertised on the show. 2, Conway Twitty was advertised on the show. So there would be Conway Twitty's fans coming to the show, not a fucking Waylon Jennings. Not Waylon Jennings fans, they're Conway Twitty fans. And yeah, they are ugly. And honestly, when I think about Conway Twitty's audience, nowadays I think of like older women with like the beehive haircut, which is the sign that you're in a sexless marriage, by the way. There's like certain haircuts that women have. And when they have those haircuts, that means they are done having sex. They do not ever want to have sex ever again. And they stopped looking attractive. They become men for the most part, Like, very few women I've seen can pull off like a short hairstyle, but a lot more try. And a lot of those women who try are slowly becoming men. And you know what? If some of you probably have a short fucking beehive hairstyle and you're like, maybe this is the reason why I'm not getting laid or something like that. I'm like, there's your problem. There's your problem right there. But overall, do I agree with Waylon? Yes. And did he say it in the right moments? He actually did. He's like, this is the ugliest. Well, I don't know. When you're performing, you don't really want to criticize the audience. But I feel like Waylon Jennings could get away with that and stuff like that. And also, they weren't there to see him. So I feel like that's good. But, overall, though, whose fault was this? This was Conway Twitty's fault. Like, you had the fat cows at your shows. We'll be right back. Thank you for watching this clip. Watch it again or watch something else.